watched Superman 1, the movie, the motion picture. You've seen Superman 2, arguably the best two Superman movies of all time, some would say, back in the era. Those were like 65, 70 years old. Superman 3, Richard Pryor, did he save the movie? Vic would come on here and say, because he says it every episode, because we do this many sequels, it was a money grab. But Superman 4? Oh, y'all think Vic talks about the 80s and the Russian mob and all that stuff? Well, it's about to go down, y'all. Superman 4, Quest for Peace. We'll be right back, y'all.
The greatest threat to Superman is Lex Luthor.
Smarter than I thought. We can make the world safe for war profits.
He's created the ultimate weapon to annihilate the Man of Steel.
You'd risk worldwide nuclear war for your own personal financial gain.
Nobody wants war. I just want to keep the threat alive.
Dude of Steel, where are you gonna get it?
You know you're a workaholic. Why don't you stop and smell the roses, huh?
Superman 4, his most important adventure, the quest for peace.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am one of your hosts tonight, Mike Papanox. I'm a granddad now. Joined by Freckle Sensei and Vic Damone Jr.
I'm sorry, I look good with this haircut. I was looking at myself for a second.
You don't look as good as Christopher Reeve did in this movie. But guys, as we are reviewing this movie, as we're talking about this movie, I have to say, because this movie brought back the late, now we can say late, great Gene Hackman. As we know he is no longer with us. He was found dead this week in his home with his wife and his dog. Details still to come on that death, as it does look to be suspicious. But I always tell someone, no matter what happens in a person's mental, we still have to give respect to what they did do in their life. And Gene Hackman was a great actor, and he was brought back in this movie because Superman 3 didn't have Gene Hackman.
No.
Superman 1 and 2 did. But here we are, we're talking about Superman 4, Quest for Peace. Seeing the United States and the Soviet Union emerge in nuclear arms race that couldn't lead to the Earth's destruction, Superman, y'all know who he is, Christopher Reeve, decides that he must take action. He's going to collect all the nuclear warheads in the world, throw them into space. Meanwhile, there's Lex. Gene Hackman himself has broken out of prison again, has a new scheme again, and he plans to make his own Superman. This stars Christopher Reeve, this guy called Nuclear Man that nobody ever heard of again after this movie, Mark Palau. We got Gene Hackman, Lex Luthor, John Cryer, who is one of my favorites of all time. I know him best known, for me anyway, from 16 Candles as Ducky. Goes on later on to play Lex Luthor himself in the Supergirl series. Of course, Margot Kidder is back as well in this one. Jab Cooper playing Perry White, and then some guys. Starting with you, Freckle Sensei. I know you're new to these movies as you was a young buck puppy dog. Not even, actually, were you even a sperm in the sack at this point when this movie was made? This movie came out in 1987.
Yeah, I want to say because by then my dad, my
87. Yeah,
my dad and my mom was
I remember my mom taking me and my cousin and my best friend Ron to Yaden Movie Theater outside of Darby, PA, where we lived at the Dollar Movies. Y'all remember that? I don't remember that. Dollar.
Oh
Movies.
No, we had one. We had
me. I saw Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I saw Three Men and a Little Baby. All that stuff there at that movie theater. But here is Quest for Peace. Your takes on it, Freckle Sensei.
So, man, I wish Vic is nicer when it comes to these these reviews, because I'm just flat out say it. I'm so disappointed in this movie because I blamed EC when he came last week and was saying that if you thought 3 was bad, 4 is worse. I was like, there's no way. And I hated it because I loved Richard Pryor, but dang, he was the main reason why that movie did as much as it did. This movie, though, even though Gene Hackman is Gene Hackman and he is great, this is probably one of the worst superhero movies I've seen in a while. I would say I can't say of all time.
Completely disagree. The worst. Well, you know, I can't disagree with you. Is your opinion the worst? Have
I
you not seen?
Now this is why I say this is why I can't say of all time. It's one of the worst. It's not.
Have you not seen Ant-Man the Wasp or Ant-Man and Quantumania? Have you not seen
neither one of those? And I can make a great argument about Quantumania because a lot of people was arguing about how Kane looked and how Kane, but we ignored. We're
talking about a movie. I care about how he looked and how one actor did it. The movie itself, but again, just my opinion. I said back, my bad.
That's one of the worst. But I mean, it's not worse than Thor 2. It's not worse than Iron Man 2. It's not worse. That's all
I was gonna say. You said okay.
It's not worse now. It's not worse than some of these movies that MCU came out was worse. Now, what it is almost on par is this movie. I can't believe that I'm saying
this. It's not as bad as Dragon Ball Z Evolution.
Because this movie was terrible. It was one of the worst movies of all time. But it's almost on par. The only reason why it was slightly better to me was because I understood all of just the political underlines of it. When you had the sneaky corporate man that takes over the daily planet, and so now he proceeds to do propaganda and fear. He does stuff like Superman dead. We know doggone well Superman ain't dead. Then he goes, oh well, what about this person? What about that person? Like he's trying to throw all these gossip things. Once again, Gene Hackman being Gene Hackman. I actually liked his for some weird reason. I liked his nephew. I don't know why. But I
loved him in this movie, yo. When he pulls up at the prison and the talking dudes, like this is a big role for Ducky coming off of 16 Candles.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed him. It's just for me the overall of the movie, and I try my hardest not to view it as for me. I've been spoiled. I'm sorry,
and it's Pretty in Pink, not 16 Candles. I definitely am wrong on that. 16 Candles, another Marlon Ringwald movie. This is Pretty in Pink. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But yeah, I get I get all that. I've been spoiled with certain things, but this just was not hitting for me. I was so let down, and I think one of the reasons why was because Nuclear Man let me down. I get him just saying destroy Superman, but I wanted him to look a little menacing. Superman. He looked like a model. He looked like an evil model.
Of course, like a model. It's 1987.
He looked like an evil model. At least Gene had some wild hair, or he had something to fit him being crazy and kooky and
you never seen the first man.
This man was just a perfect chiseled paws man that was supposed to be a villain. I can't take this man serious. Especially with the nails. Oh my god! Especially with the nails thing where he goes like this. And
I love that part when he scratched Superman. I
love the scratch part, but it was the lead up to it. He was just and then the blow, and then we made a cold. The way he blew, he was just it was just so modeling. I was like, oh god. But like I said, it wasn't the worst. It wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen in my life because I can name so many. Just
Creepers.
I be forgetting that actually is a
Jeepers Creepers was pretty bad.
It's not the worst movie. It's not even the worst movie I've seen in my life because The Void will always be the worst movie I've ever seen.
Oh, remember The Faculty?
I never seen it.
Did you ever see The Faculty?
So
what about this?
Oh God!
And I walked out of that movie theater also saying, "Well, it wasn't so bad." Then I got home and went, it's but I go tell you had Pirate Bay and stuff, right? So people would somehow give you, I didn't do it, but and watch those movies again and you walk out of the movie theater. So no. Oh, good. But we didn't gotta get to the end with you. He already told us Vic how he feels about the movie. He said it's one of the worst movies he's ever seen in his life. Go ahead, Vic.
That makes sense. That makes sense because this movie.
Vic can't save this movie. We're in trouble.
Well, no, this movie was all symbolism.
All
it was.
All symbolism.
It was.
Because look, Ronald Reagan did that tear down that wall speech about a month before this movie came out.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the type of stuff that everybody was thinking about, especially nuclear war, the fact that they made Nuclear Man and Nuclear Man. And the crazy thing is that you have Superman pulling up the American flag a couple of times. You have Nuclear Man being put into a nuclear reactor, and then all of a sudden, all the lights pop up. Like they're just telling everybody, like, oh, look, we can use this for energy. This thing has Ronald Reagan all over it. All over it, because like at the time, and like I said, he did this speech like a month before this movie came out. The movie's called The Quest for Peace. Like they're going to the UN, they're doing all of these different things. Like
history,
this was a promo. You know what I mean? This is definitely a promo.
Wrestling fans get it. we see
it has nothing to do with like the story of Superman. And like, mind you, we're gonna go do Man of Steel, and Man of Steel came out maybe 25 years later, but it's going deep into the story of Superman. You know what I mean? And the thing is just that they go so much more in depth into it that I can see why the younger generations would hate this movie. Because back then, a lot of the things, and that's why, people always say that I say that it's political, because nowadays it's not necessarily like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So like back
smarter
then,
studios, smarter, yeah.
No, it's just that like, because the thing is that it also kind of takes you back, and it's just like, they really were limited by a lot. Like one of the funniest parts in this movie was when the Superman was saving the girl, the blondie, and she was like out in space, and like in the middle of space, and she's just like dangling her feet and whatever. And if that were true, like
I love Jason Murphy as a kid.
No, but my whole thing is it's just that like if she were taken up to that part of the atmosphere, she
would die.
Exactly. like, and that's what I was thinking about. Like, like, all right, yeah, like y'all just didn't think about the little things. Y'all just went straight to message. You know what I mean?
Message.
Yeah. I mean, now they still the funny part was, as far as like when they kept it to Superman, was where Superman was between the two ladies.
I love that part.
Like, I actually enjoyed that
on the date, right?
Yeah, where he just kept going back and forth and switching and doing all of that. Like I thought that was hilarious. How he tried to keep his secret identity, but then like his cape falls and Lois comes out of nowhere. She's like, "Hey, look, Superman might need this." I'm like, "All right." She knows, like, come on, she knows.
What messed me up was the other lady not realizing when they fell and he had the glasses on that it wasn't like Clark Kent and Superman. It was like,
I hate to say this, right? That for me, that goes to a line from Lois and Clark, being a big Lois and Clark fan. And they had one of their future villains come, and he said to Lois Lane, he says, "You're one of the biggest people in the universe too. You're just as famous as Superman." He said, "Why?" He said, "Because you were with him for all these years." At this point, she didn't know still that he was Superman. And he was like, "Is he? Or isn't he? Is he? Or isn't he?" And I would laugh so hard because all these years, like, people don't understand. Superman's true power is the fact he can put on those glasses and all of a sudden he's not Superman.
It's crazy to me. It's so crazy. Like, I was like, bro,
his hair goes from straight to curly. That's it.
I was like, bro, he's right there in face. He's in your.
Go ahead, one thing I realized during COVID, a face mask does the same thing.
Yes, it does. It absolutely does.
It really does. Like a face mask, like, will literally hide you, because you really can't tell sometimes who people are when they have a face mask on, and it's crazy. I never realized how far that went. But and when it comes to Clark, because it's funny, because when I was a kid, every single time they would do something like that, I'm just like, how can you not tell? Like, you know what I mean? And then look, in the anime, the Adventures of Superman, his costume is a hoodie. I'm just like, really? You put on a hoodie and all of a sudden that's your secret identity? Like, that's like, really?
It's like the Krabby Patty secret formula for disguise for superheroes. Like, everybody, it's like all you need is a hoodie, baseball caps, and shades, and that's it.
That's it.
One of the things I do love, and I got to just be that older guy here, because what we do is we rewatch movies. And one of the things I've been doing this now with Vic almost 4 years. It is and we had the girls used to be with us, and we've had different entities here of Unpopular Review Entertainment. And thank you guys for watching Unpopular Review Entertainment. We're sorry about that. I said it at the beginning of the show. Please like, follow, subscribe to the show. Let us know what you like about us, what you don't like about us, and those kind of things. Link is in the bio. Message. Either way, that was the message. But in 87, right, Vic, and difference between today as well. And I get that it may not, we call it translate to today's generation, is in 87. This is the fourth movie at this point. We've already got the Superman backdrop that they were going to allow us to have, and Donner's version of Superman in 1 and 2. Superman 3, completely a money grab. You got the hottest comedian in all the world at this point. No, it was not Andrew Dice Clay, which was a good comedian. It was Richard frickin' Pryor in this movie, okay? 100% money grab. Give Richard Pryor something, put Richard Pryor in the Superman movie. But no, this is a complete money grab to get back to where they were, to get back to what they were for 1 and 2, because 3 did not do so well in the theaters. It was not widely, to be
honest with you, yeah. I disagree. I really think I would not be surprised if the Pentagon just put up the money for this movie and put it out there, because it doesn't even feel like a continuance of.
Absolutely not. It does not.
Like it's connected to the other movies. I really think that if it wasn't for what was going on in the world, this movie wouldn't have came out. I'm
not going to disagree with that at all, because it's written all over your face, right? It only made double the money. It cost them $17 million of the budget. He made $30 million, $36 million worldwide.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it really hit as to how people were feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's just like, even in the trailer we show, right? To me, I'm a 87. I'm a 12-year-old kid watching someone who's my favorite superhero. I grew up watching the Christopher Reeves that you see behind me, for Christopher Reeves. I watched the original Superman cartoon. It was not that it was live when I was a child, but the black and white version of Superman, I watched that as a kid because that's what was on TV. So I grew up watching Christopher, watching the Superman on TV series back in the 50s when it first aired, from 52 to 58. You know what I mean? What was the guy who played Superman at that point? Hallis or something like that. I forget his name, but the original guy who played Superman, who ended up killing himself. It's sort of the whole Curse of Superman thing. So I'm a 12-year-old kid going to see Superman. I didn't see that stuff. Let me rephrase that. You saw it, Vic. 100%. You know what's going on in the world. If you're a smart kid and you're engaged as a student in the world, you see what's going on there. It's completely messy. The whole thing. I can see you saying that, you know what? Let's go ahead and build this and go ahead and make fun of Gorbachev. And here go the reason why you know that, Vic, because shortly after this, or right before this, but in that same year, you get Rocky IV, which is, if I can change, and you can change, then everybody can change. The whole Russia thing. That was the whole 80s Russia thing. But I want to speak about the actual movie for a second. Going to John Cryer playing the nephew. Absolutely, I thought he played a great role in this movie. I really did. I think Superman did its job, because you know why? We're going to review a movie coming up soon called Superman Returns. I didn't realize I spoke to the executive consultant here, who, people, let me just add, is a member of, and you should be knowing that you're watching and listening to.
Tonight's broadcast has been commandeered by the secret society No Ma'am, National Organization of Men Against Amazonian Masterhood. He doesn't throw a punch in that entire movie in Superman Returns. Right, but in this, it's just crazy. But in this movie, it was a fight. I actually like this movie a hell of a lot more than I like 3. 3, I think, is and I wasn't here for that episode, guys. Thanks for filling in. I was going through some things I couldn't be here. But that movie, I'd have gave a thumbs down, and I've watched it repeatedly. I saw it in the movie theaters as well. Right, I know Vic gave it a thumbs up. He said, "Man, it was Richard Pryor." It was Richard Pryor, right? And so I get that, but for me, as a Superman super mark, I had to give it a thumbs down. Superman 4 to me was actually, I named him really when Freckles Sensei was talking. I can name a ton of movies that it's better than, that are worse than Superman 4, right? I get how corny it could be, but it's 1987, and in 1987, this was only a year later or 2 years later, you get Batman, which that took it to the next level of movies,
because you had you got to think of how far in between Superman the original movie was before you got the next big superhero movie, which was Batman, then followed by Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Okay, that's how far superheroes was in. So to write in the story of what we're getting today, like a Man of Steel and how they're like the source material, it was only used in Superman 1 and 2. Gene Hackman.
I mean, but look. But here's the other thing, right? Man of Steel has Obama all over it.
We're gonna talk about that in a second. And his name is President Barack Obama, sir.
And I'm gonna just say this. And I'm gonna just
He's still our president, damn it.
And I'm gonna say this. And I'm gonna say this because that movie is all about hope. And
I didn't peep that. It is the whole thing, and he was in office. You sly son of a bitch, and I ain't calling your mama a bitch, by the way, when I say that. You gotta start saying that. You know what I'm saying? Because if I call somebody a son of a bitch, we call somebody's mama out their name. All right, and I'm quite sure I know you, so I know your mama's a beautiful lady. So we're not calling you that. But this is great. Damn, Vic. Oh, I can't wait to do Superman Returns. Speaking of Superman Returns, y'all, that's our next movie coming up. We'll be right back after this. Give you our thumbs up, thumbs down. Best parts, I don't think Freckle has any, but we'll be right back.
You wrote that the world doesn't need a savior, but every day I hear people crying for one.
Bring it on! Now fly.
Come on, let me hear you say it just once.
You're insane.
No! No, the other thing.
Superman will not.
I can't wait to review that movie because I got so many thoughts about that I want to spoil right here on this episode. But we are talking about Superman 4 Quest for Peace, the lowest rated movie of the four movies with Christopher Reeve within it, which I don't see how Superman 3, again, it was clearly the Richard Pryor effect that made that movie gross money, because that movie grossed over 86 million. Okay, it was all Richard Pryor. This movie didn't do half of that and 36 million. It was the foul, but they call it the swan song, if you will, for Christopher Reeve, mostly known as the America people Superman. That's what we all grew up with. That's what most people recognize as Superman. In the world, may he rest in peace as well. But we are talking about Superman 4 Quest for Peace. Again, some part I want to talk about real fast is that, and I always say this as a Superman mark. And one thing I got into this business to do is to not be the media we see on TV, right? Where everyone says, don't trust the news, don't trust the news. I remember being taught in school that as a reporter, it's your job to be objective. Mm-hmm. When it comes to Michael Jordan, I don't know how to be objective. When it comes to Superman, I don't know how to be objective. But where the hell did he get powers from that the man, nuclear man, blew up the wall, the Great Wall of China, and the man used his eyes to put it back together in brick pieces? What power was that?
No, seriously, because we never seen that happen ever again when it comes to Superman.
I never seen him take off the S again either. Use it as a shield. He did in Superman 2. I mean, these are just things he does. And
well, so I know. Like fast forward. Mm-hmm. In like the cartoon and the animations, he did it like a couple times. But even in those eras, I always go back to your brother cartoon, right? I always go back to one of my favorite ones where it's an episode of Justice League and he's going against Darkseid. And Darkseid for a couple episodes is beating the hell out of the whole Justice League. And he's something always sticks to me when it comes to any Superman hater. He always says, you don't know my real power. He has an endless supply of power. People say, well, how do you stop Superman with just kryptonite? Well, if you look at Superman 52, the comic books, he's immune to that now. Yeah, it's like I think Americans are the Tylenol. We've had it since the time we were kids. What the Tylenol doing now? You know what I mean? Ibuprofen. We need something way bigger and stronger than that because we've been taking it our entire lives. So I look at this movie. I look at it in that sense from 1987 as a kid to watching it now. I'm going to be honest with you two fellas. It still gets a thumbs up for me, okay? A whole red, white, and blue, Ronald Reagan, Gorbachev, F you, Russia, thumbs up for me because it was entertaining. And I love the part with the dating scene. I love the part when he fights the nuclear man, scratches him, and he's in the dark, and he's got to get back at this. I like how the plot was used because one thing about Gene Hackman versus Christopher Reeve, Gene Hackman has always outwitted him, which is hilarious because Superman has super intellect. But this movie makes him seem so dopely dumb
that Gene Hackman, he got his hair, he took everything he did, he just every single time Gene Hackman outmaneuvered Christopher Reeve's Superman. But still, nonetheless, as corny as it is watching it today, and yes, it is corny. It's still better than Avatar. It's still better than Dragon Ball Z Evolution. It's still better than at least 6 I can name off the top of my head MCU movies, and clearly 3 DCU movies. It's better than, to me. It just really is.
I don't know about 6. I'll say 4.
I can give you 6. I gave it to you already. Iron Man 2, Thor 2, Thor 4, Love and Thunder, trash. Okay,
it is.
Trash.
All
3. Well, Ant-Man had how many Ant-Man movies? Ant-Man had 3.
Ant-Man had 3, but Ant-Man 1 was pretty good.
1.
Ant-Man 1 was decent. Ant-Man 3 was actually pretty good. It wasn't like
and Eternals.
Eternals is boring.
That's all I'm saying. That's 6.
That's
6.
But to me, that's on par. Like Eternals is on par.
This is 1987.
I know.
When you could damn near see a string and damn sure see the green screen behind them. No. It should not be on par with those movies. Those movies should be better than Quest for Peace because
it should be.
Wasn't good.
I agree. It should be.
Thumbs up for me. What you got, Freckles?
I mean, I kind of already gave it. I was trying to find this picture. That's why I was stalling. But But I tell you. But we all know, and our viewers know, because we all hit this age. Well, we remember this movie called Rocky IV. We remember this great moment when it came to. We all remember this great moment when it was one of the best and worst tragedies of all time for Black America. I'm glad I'm talking about this after Black History Month. But we all know what happened when it came. I'm probably saying the wrong Rocky, to be honest. But we all know what happened when it came to James Brown coming out singing
Rocky IV.
Yeah, okay, cool. So I was right, Rocky IV.
First of all, I have to cut you off with all due respect, okay? I got to cut. There would be no Rocky slander. And go back and watch our Rocky reviews. Remember, Vic, we went through all them Jones. Okay, we did every Rocky movie, and they all got a thumbs up. So be careful, Freckle.
Now, mind you,
who are you rooting for tonight?
I'm rooting for everybody black.
But damn it, the fact that they killed Apollo Creed and Baby Creed had to be back without a daddy. He could have beat the mess out of all the people on the first fight if he had his daddy still alive. But anyway, the same type of money grab that Rocky IV was the same type of money grab that this movie was. And it still brought me the same tragedy, even worse tragedy, because I do agree that all 4 Rockies hit.
There's more than 4 Rockies, by the way. There's 10. And in the words of Vic, you'll start learning here as you're kind of still relatively new. Every sequel, Vic, is what? A money grab.
Money grab. But this was like political money grab. This was.
Were you around and when Rocky came out, sir? You haven't. I'm just saying this. You're going into my bag, man. You're going into my bag. You have any idea the importance of those 80s montage film? Him in the snow. Outrunning the Russian spies. Watching them, and avenging his black friend's death in the ring after fighting with Adrian. Brother, don't get me started about Rocky IV. You better.
It was great, and I give it a thumbs up. But this was just now. It's the fact that it's a combination of money grab and some of the writing I just could not get with. And the production of it. It's like a whole combination. At least with Rocky IV, we did get, oh God, this is a political, but the acting was great. The moments was great. I mean, dang. The action was great. And plus, I'm very biased when it comes to combat movies. I love a good tussle, a good squabble, like my man from Snowfall say. You said what?
A bunch of big sweaty men slapping meat.
No, I teach a man how to squabble from
Snowfall. I got
from
you.
Snowfall. But yeah, like my man, even that.
Thumbs up, thumbs down.
But I give it a thumbs down, and that's why I give it a thumbs down. Too much everything combined that it was just bad.
It's just bad to you. Gotcha. What you got, Vic?
I mean, a lot of the things that I see now, I didn't see then. And I literally remember this movie turning into background. This movie got, you know, rerun so many times. So many times. And mind you, like in 1987, they were going in several different places. Because like RoboCop came out, so that was like just a big push of technology. I think Short Circuit also came out. You know what I mean? Like, you know, there was all Spaceballs came out, Wall Street came out this year. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there were directions. It was pro money and anti-war, right? So like this right here, whoever came up with this idea, whether it was Ronald Reagan or not, or somebody else, but this
or Mel Brooks.
No, because it was very like the only thing that Superman needed was a MAGA hat. That's really all he needed. Straight up, like you know what I mean. This was Make America Great Again all over it, like the original. Because you know Donald Trump got that from Ronald Reagan, but like you know the and you know I definitely saw that in the scene where he was fighting Nuclear Man, and he puts up the American flag, and then all of a sudden the American flag touches the floor. And there was a time where like if the American flag touched the floor, that's blasphemy.
That's blasphemous,
You know what I'm saying? So like the fact that they did that, and then Superman came back and won and put him, and the way that he won by putting him in the nuclear reactor and just making that show of this is how we create energy. You know, like this whole thing was definitely a commercial. Like they should have put it in the Super Bowl. Like this, this more than anything, that's what it was. I mean, I'll give it a thumbs up, but I'll definitely, you know why? Because like if somebody is, I would put this movie in like the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library, or like if somebody's studying Ronald Reagan or that time, attach this movie and Rocky IV, because the narrative, like this is straight narrative. This is not story. And I really saw that after immediately watching Man of Steel after this, because it's just two totally different lanes.
Can't wait till we review that as well. I know people had a lot of different take on that. People thought it was Jesus, even in that when it comes to Man of Steel. A lot of takes on that. But guys, thank you for tuning in to Unpopular Reviews. The Wolf Factory got 2 thumbs up and a thumbs down, but a butt from Vic. That's important. You guys understand that. So watch this movie. Comment below. Let us know your thoughts on this movie. We'll be back with y'all guys next week for Superman Returns. Brandon Roth's rendition of this movie, and we got some things to talk about that then on that day. So we thank you guys. I am Mike Knox. That is Freckles Sensei, where he's on this side, and then we got Vic Damone down there as well, guys. Make sure you guys check us out, as well as everything else here on Unpop Review Entertainment, Trio of Destiny, the Challenge Review Show, and even returning, because so is Raising Cain coming back, the husband and wife show as well, guys. So we see y'all all next week. Peace.
Thank you.